So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate the attendance. I mean, wow, this is really great. This is the biggest attendance we've ever had. Just shows there's an enormous amount of interest now, obviously with COVID-19 and online learning and the like, and in distant applications that we all have to deal with now. So yeah, the best of Acrobat Pro DC is very, very important now, because there is an enormous amount that can be involved with this in terms of online learning, intelligent forms creation, e-signature, all of the kinds of things that are becoming very, very relevant in business and in all of our universities and colleges and the like. So I just want to say thank you again. I want to hand over now to our presenter, which is Cara Ralph. And please, if there are any questions, there's a chat pod. Please ask the questions. The people that are in the overflow room, unfortunately, won't be able.
Tim, you cut off there the last little bit about the overflow room.
Okay, sorry, everybody. I'm not quite sure why they are cut off, but we understand there are a lot of people in the overflow room, and that's really fantastic. Welcome to you as well. You won't have access to the chat pod, unfortunately, so we just ask you, please pop us a mail and we'll get straight back to you as soon as we can. So again, thank you everybody for joining this presentation. Carla, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you everybody from my side for joining this session today. Just a quick agenda of what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be focusing on sending documents for commenting and review in both Microsoft Word and Acrobat. We're going to be looking at creating interactive forms and being able to distribute these to the relevant people that need to be able to do that, fill them in. We're going to be looking at interactive PDFs and securing them. And then towards the end of the session, we are going to be doing the different signing opportunities, or not opportunities, but different signing solutions that are available both within Acrobat and Adobe Sign together. So if we start off and we look at the next slide here, Adobe and Microsoft have had a partnership for quite some time. And if you have Acrobat, the full version of Acrobat, I'm not talking about the reader, but if you have the full version of Acrobat installed on your machine, whether it be Windows or Mac, you will get an additional ribbon. So the blue one is an indication of what is in Word, the reddish orange is in PowerPoint, Excel, and the last one is even within Outlook. So there are different options. Again, it will be slightly different between Mac and Windows, depending on the platform that you have. There, of course, is a better integration with the Microsoft Windows environment. Some of the things that you can do from here is, if in any of these, if you go into the preferences, you're going to be able to set up certain things. And one of my suggestions is going into that. You only have to do it once, and converting your document, if you can see where my mouse is moving here, to the smallest possible file size. This means that even before it becomes a PDF, or while it is being converted to a PDF document, it is compressing it to the best possible size that it can make, and therefore you don't have to go and do that afterwards. And then for those of you that need to apply security, you can apply this directly from within the Microsoft application and not have to go and add this on afterwards in the Acrobat environment. Right. For those that are using Office 365, there are some add-ons that are available from within the various applications. And of course, you'll see that there are some document cloud. If there are any administrators, IT admins on the call, you can manage this from your side to determine whether the users can have access to this or not. Right. So enough of the death by PowerPoint for now. I'm actually going to jump out of this and go into the application and actually show you how this is all going to work. So if you can just bear with me. Right, I'm going to quickly jump across to Microsoft Windows because I'm in a Windows environment, and I'm going to start off quickly in Outlook and just show you that you will have an Acrobat ribbon in Outlook, and you can actually convert emails or folders to PDFs depending on what you require. But what is really nice is often we keep those emails for some time, just in case 5 years down the line we need to be able to have the attachment or be able to email that person, and we want to keep the email address. So if you set up an archive, you can do this. Let's just quickly set one up here quickly. Sorry, it's just trying to archive mine because I've already set one up. Let me just go and change these quickly. All right, so you've got certain settings. You can choose to include your attachments or not. You can apply whatever security, whether it's to open or whether it's to edit your PDF in any way, and then you can set up an archive. And this archive, you can choose when you wish to do it and which folders you want to do. So once you've done that, I'm just going to quickly jump to my desktop because I did one prior just to save time. When you go into the environment, it will show you here that you would be able to search the documents that you want, and if there are any attachments, let me just go and open the correct one first. Just give me a moment. I want to use this one. All right, so you can see you would still be able to search your document like you would be able to do in Outlook, and it will tell you any documents that have got attachments. You'll be able to click on the hyperlinks and you would be able to email. It will create an email for you, and you even have access. There you go. It's just showing you that I can email the person. The other thing that you can do, let's just close this, is you can actually open the attachments if you need to. You can open the file, and that is a nice way to be able to clear out your mailbox from time to time. Right, now getting down to the nitty-gritty of today's session. So we'll start in Microsoft Word, and I'm going to open a document here. And as I mentioned to you, you have this ribbon that is available to you. So most people like to start their content, whatever it is, in Microsoft Word, but they need to then be able to send it out for review directly from here. So yes, Microsoft Word does offer the track changes functionality, and if you've got SharePoint or OneDrive or something else, you can always invite other people to comment on the original document. But in some cases, you want to have a document that people review outside of the Microsoft environment. And this is where you can come to the top in the ribbon. Of course, in a Mac environment, it's going to be slightly different, but you're going to be able to say send for review. So let's go to the desktop and we'll save this document here and we'll just call it review. And we save it, and it's actually generating the PDF for me. This is different than just going file save as PDF, because I could have compressed it as much as I needed, and I could have applied whatever security I needed at the same time. Now I'm using the latest version of Acrobat DC, and there are a couple of options that are available over here. So you could email it directly from your Acrobat environment. You could set a deadline if you needed to be able to do that when people need to review this document by. You could generate a link, and this link you could share with people, and they can actually go into a browser and be able to comment on that. So let's do that while I'm showing you this. Let's go to a new tab. Let's go and paste this. So this means that somebody without Acrobat would be able to comment on this particular document at any particular point in time. If your university does not want you to be able to use the document cloud, but your own internal facility, that is not a problem, and I'll show you that in a moment. So I'm going to just say sign in as a different user right now. Let's just say not now. And I want to go and comment on the particular document, so we'll get to that in a moment. So let me just go back to Acrobat. If you are not going to be using the options here to share it via the document cloud, you can always go along and save this document just as a normal PDF and save it on your intranet, on a specific network drive, and then somebody with the free reader will be able to comment on this document. So I'm just going to go save as a moment. I'm just going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to put here reader, because I'm going to show you that somebody with a free reader can also comment on this particular document. So I just want to show you one of these so that we can import all these comments into one particular document. So I'm going to just go File, Open a moment. I'm in the reader. You can see here at the top of the screen, I'm doing the reader. Right, so I'm in the reader now. I've got the ability to comment on a document, and I've got all of these tools that are available to me. Now, note that the first portion of tools, up until the pencil, these are can integrate into Microsoft Word. So the underline, the strike through, or whatever it is. So perhaps in this particular example here, I want to delete this. Sorry, let's just say, and I want to replace that with the word at. I might want to go and strike some other information through. I might want to insert information. So you can see you can do a whole lot of textual comments that you want to be able to do. So I'm just going to close this a minute, and I'm going to save this. So this is the reader version that was done. Right, so let's go and call it Reader 2. And I'm going to jump close Reader a moment. And I'm back in the professional version. And so even somebody with a professional version, if you don't have commenting on the side of your panel, at any time you can go under the tools menu and say, you know, I actually want to comment, and it will open up the commenting tools that are available to you. So maybe in this particular example, somebody wants to strike through this, because I'm trying to show you a whole lot of different options that are available. Maybe somebody wants to have a comment here. It says, not sure if this is the correct heading. So you can see there can be a whole lot of comments. If you want to change these icons and what they look like, you can always go to the Properties panel, and then inside here you can change. There's lots of different ones. You can change colors. There are a whole lot of things that you can do there. Right. So now you've got, I'm just going to save this. This is going to be the Pro version. Let's just go to the desktop. Let's say we did this as comments. Right. So we've got these comments that have come in. So you've sent a document out to lots of different people to be able to comment on the document. If it is not in an environment shared over the network and everybody is emailing their comments back to you, in the three little ellipses here, you can go and choose to import the comments from other documents. So I could come along and go and choose my Reader 2 that we did in our reader version and import those, and you can see they could all come in. And then you'd have the name of all the different users, and you could then go and filter. Unfortunately, mine are all under the same name for myself, but you could go and filter. All right, Bob sent me these comments, Tabo sent me these comments, Mpumi sent me these comments, and you can then put them all together in one particular PDF document. There are also options with us being not at the university or whatever, we might not necessarily want to print the comments, but you can go and create what we call a comment summary. And this comment summary will allow you to have little connector lines, or you can have a document where you can, just a single document. You can choose A4 if you need to. Let me just go through this. And you can actually go and create sorry, can somebody please put their microphone off? Somebody can actually go in and have a summary of all the comments that have been made. So if you've spelled December incorrectly, you don't have to import it into the Microsoft Word document 3 or 4 times. You can just do it once. So there's a nice summary that you can do. So I'm just going to say no here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this document. It's called comments. So the document's gone out in whichever way you want it to. You've received the comments back in PDF. Now what you can do, you can go back to your Microsoft Word document, and you can actually go and import all of those PDF comments back into Microsoft Word and switch on the track changes. So this means that you don't have to try and distinguish what somebody's handwriting looks like. And second of all, you don't have to switch your head from side to side like you're playing tennis to try and make the changes. So what you do here is you're going to go to the Acrobat ribbon. You're going to click on Acrobat comments, and you're actually going to import the comments. So you will be able to read through this in your own time. I know how to do this, but here you will see at the top, it will say comments from which PDF file. So even if you are receiving the PDF separately and you don't want to use Acrobat to combine all the comments together, there's nothing stopping you from importing the comments into this document at various times. So I'm going to go and browse, and I'm going to go to the desktop, and I'm going to choose that comments one that we did. That was a combination of the reader and the professional version. And you could even have done any online comments that would have been in there. And now you can see that the comments, all the comments are here. So what do you want to do? Import all of them, only those with check marks. What that is meaning is if you've gone through all of these documents here, you can actually go and set a check mark to say, okay, I only want to import that comment, and I only want to import this particular comment, especially if numerous people have told you the same correction or review that needs to take place. Right, so I'm just going to close this a moment and go back to Microsoft Word. Right, and I'm just going to say the textual changes only. So I only want deletions, insertions, and replacements. I'm going to ask Microsoft Word to switch on the track changes if I haven't already done so, and I'm going to go along and I'm actually going to import those comments. So you can currently see that 4 comments will be imported, and I can choose to go and integrate these now into my Microsoft Word document. So you can see it's come to the top here and it says, okay, do I want to apply this? Yes, I can go and apply this. Do I want to go to the next comment? Okay, what was the next comment? Oh, I actually wanted to delete that. So can you see how it's saving you time in doing it this way than having to manually go and do it other ways. You can also go and say, you know what, I want to apply all the textual edits to this particular document if that is what I need to be able to do. Right, I'm going to say done, and I've now got my document with my reviews and commenting and everything, and it's back in Word, and now I can do that process again if it needs to go through to the next level of approvals. Right, the next part of this that I'm going to show you is sometimes you've got questionnaires or test papers or whatever it is, or maybe even just a form, and you might not have used Microsoft Word to create a form. So if you are doing a form in Word, just make sure that you put the lines in where you want the form fields to be placed. If you're doing it in Excel, which is where I'm going to show you from today, you can do the same thing. So this is the same document just done in Excel, but I'm going to create the PDF here from within Excel, right? Within Excel or PowerPoint or Word, you can choose whether it's the entire book or just a selection. And in Excel, if it's just the sheet that I want to be able to convert to a PDF. So I'm going to convert that now. I'm going to put this on the desktop, calling it booking form. And I'm going to save this. And here I am in Acrobat with my form selected. Now, sometimes I've got a form here, but sometimes you have documents that you only have as a PDF. You don't have it in any other format. And instead of you having to go and retype everything, you can use Acrobat Professional to convert these documents back to a Microsoft document. So this was an Excel document that we created, but perhaps I needed it to be in a Microsoft Word document, or perhaps somebody's given me their presentation and it's in PDF, and I want to take it back into PowerPoint so that I can edit it and make the necessary changes that I need to be able to do. Please note, you can only do this if there is no security on the document, or if you have the password to take the security off. Excuse me. So while I'm in this view, there is an option here to say export. If it's not in the left-hand panel, the right-hand panel, you can always go to your tools box and choose export. Right. So when you choose export PDF, there are numerous options that you can choose. And if you go into any of the settings, you can say whether you want to keep the layout exactly the way that it is, or if you want to make it a more of flowable text instead of these little text boxes everywhere. You can include images. You can even OCR, optical character recognition, if it's an image. So, for example, you've scanned in one of the forms that you've got. You've only got a paper-based one. You might have used the free Adobe Scan app to convert it to a PDF. You might have a scanner at home, but you need to get it into editable text. Then you can OCR here to be able to do that. Here you can choose Word, Excel, PowerPoint, an image. There are even more formats that you can choose. I'm going to choose Word in this example, and I'm going to now export this out on the desktop, and let's call it whatever we want to call it. Let's get rid of the semicolon. It's going to convert it, and now it's going to put it through into a Microsoft Word document. Here you can see it's my gibberish at the top, and all of this is 100% editable that you can then go and edit your document. So a really useful tool to be able to use Acrobat for. You don't have to do the entire document. You can always just go and choose sections that you want. And if you right-click, you can also go and export that selection as a Word and Excel, or you can copy it with formatting. So there's a couple of options that are available for you. Right. Now, if you're wanting to do forms, it's always best to reduce your file size before putting the form fields on, because then you don't have to remove all the form fields that you've already done. Sometimes we receive PDF documents and they are too large to be able to email out to somebody. So within Acrobat, you can also go and optimize customize your size of your document. So to do that, here on the right-hand side, you can see it says Search Tools, and you can put in there what it is that you're wanting to do. I want to reduce the file size, so you can put in reduce, or if you want to put on security, you could go and type that. So this is an interactive panel that, depending on the tools that you want to look for, will give you the listing of where you can find them. So what do we want to do? We want to, yes, I could say reduce file size, but this is going to just use the default settings. You might want to know why your file is so big. So I always go to the advanced optimization. By doing this, I get this little optimizer, and if I go into the usage, space usage, it will tell me what is making my document big. Now, if you're not using Acrobat or the Acrobat tools to generate your PDF, remember Adobe invented PDF back in the day, so they tend to compress their documents anyway, but sometimes you will find that it's the structure of the document that made the PDF, or the document's overhead that is making the document really large. And sometimes it's just all the graphics we put in. So what this will allow you to do is, okay, if that is for images, you can go and reduce the quality of the images. You can go and embed, or like everybody's got Arial on their computers, I don't need to embed that. You can go and discard certain objects, form fields. That's why I always say do it before you do your form. And you've got a whole lot of things that you can go and check out and see. And then you can go and make your document smaller. It's always going to prompt you to make that file size or to save that document in case the output is not what you were looking for, and you can always go and adjust it. So I'm just going to put there, I always put the abbreviation SML at the end so that I know that my document is the smallest possible file size. If you want to know how big your file is, you can always go to the the file menu, and under properties, this will always give you an indication of what your original file size was. So you can have a look, what was it before and what was it afterwards. All right, so now that we've made our document smaller, we want to put form fields on here. So we can type at the top here, form, and it says an option to prepare a form or to create a form. There are a couple of options. You can even go to your tools here and you could say prepare a form, or you could have it in the side panel. Either way, it's going to prompt you if you want to use the same file, because I have one open, or you can go and look for a file. You can get one from a scanner. You can even create a new form. So you've got a couple of options. If you're going to be using Adobe Sign, you can say that this document requires signatures, and then it will put the Adobe Sign form fields that are compatible with Adobe Sign on your document. I'm going to click on Start, and look what's happened. It has automatically gone and put the form fields on my document. Now, to give you an understanding, I converted some documents for somebody the other day. I was able to do an 83-page assessment document in under a day. Convert all of the form fields and everything for that. So it is really a fast way to be able to do this. Please note that sometimes it will put form fields where they don't belong, and sometimes it will put not put form fields. So that's why it's really important to create the form as best as you can, and leave enough space for the form fields. Right, so we've got most of the form fields. I'm going to show you some things to change now. If I preview the form field and I go and put in here ABC University, and I go and carry on typing, can you see that the form is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So that is because I'm just going to, if you go to Tools, you can always clear your form over here. If I double click on a form field, This is going to show me under the appearance that my font size is set to auto. And that is why there is this reduction in the font size. And sometimes people fill in so much that it gets so small that you can't actually read it. Right. Now, this dialog box can stay open at any time. So you don't have to close it with each and every single form that you're doing, field. So you can go and say, all right, all of these form fields need to have a particular size. Maybe they're going to be 10. So I can convert all of them at the same time, right? So you can see if I go to any one now, that's 10. If I go to this one, that's 10. It's a quick way to do things. If you want to do a multi-line form field, so I've just deleted one and I'm going to convert this one into a multi-field. I've selected it. If I go under options, you can see here I just need to choose multi-line. I can choose to have the spelling checked if I want to, and I can choose to scroll long text. That means when I look at it and I actually go and put in the information now, you can see I've now got a little scroll bar that is available. But just remember, I'm only going to be able to, if I choose to print this, it's only going to print what is visible. It's not going to automatically adjust that field. But if you're previewing it or marking or whatever you're doing online, or in Acrobat, of course, you'll be able to look through this document at any time. Right. You can go and change the formatting of a particular field. So you can go and say, all right, this particular field is a number field. It's a date field. So I've chosen a date one here. You can go and determine exactly how your date is going to look. So that's how I want my date to look. You can even, for like identity numbers and those kind of things, you can space it. You know, those always had that little bit of space in between. So if you deselect the spell check and the scroll long text, you've got an option here as a comb. So think of a hair comb. It's always got a little bit of spacing in between. And you can go and set what the spacing is. So if it's an ID number, you would set this to 13. If it's some other kind of code or whatever it is, you could set it to like a postal code, you could set it to 4 digits depending on what you want. So if we go and preview this now, you can see if I go and put the date in, I actually have the amount of space in between that is required. Right. The fact that it is a date field also allows me to click on the drop-down menu and actually go and choose the relevant date depending on whatever it is that is available. Right. So far what we've done is we've dealt here at the top with the date field, and we've dealt with text fields. So you can always click on this, and where there are fields missing, you can always go and add your own fields depending on what you want. If your fields don't align, or if you need to add multiple fields, so let's go and do this down the bottom here where we have radio buttons and check boxes, right? So just these are these here, the little one with a little tick or a little radio button. So a radio button is like a yes, no. They can choose between the two. So you can see it's already added that for me. And a, what do you call it? A checkbox is the ability to be able to select more than one option. And the main difference with that is when I look at my fields, a radio field will always have the same name as its partner. That means it will only ever select one of those with the same name, whereas a checkbox will each have its own name, right? If I want to change what these look like, you can, of course, select more than one at any particular point in time. And if you go under your, sorry, I don't want to have two different kinds. Let's just have one kind. Let's go and do these here. If I select them and I go into options, you can see, do I want them square? Do I want them a circle, a cross, or whatever it is? So if I want them to be little check boxes, they can be check boxes. If I'm going to pull this information back into an Excel document or a comma separated value document, I can actually give it a value that I want to have there. So you can see there is such a lot that you can do, and if you set your form up correctly, it really makes life easier. Right. One of the other things I want to show you is if I have, let's say, for example, I'm putting a little checkbox there, but I need to have multiple checkboxes like I've got here. You can always come to the Tools menu, and you can come in here and say, create multiple copies. So if you can have a, let me just go cancel a moment and do it again. Select it. Create multiple copies. You can see here that it's given me 2 across and 2 down. So you can go and add or subtract as many as you need. And you can also go in here and adjust the spacing if you need to, move them up or down, depending on what it is that you need. You can even make form fields the same height. So if I go and select multiple form fields, in my right-hand panel here, I can go and say, make them all the same height, and it made it the height of the one that is the darkest of them with shading. You can see these are slightly lighter blue. So if I select this one and I use it, or to be able to do select multiple options. So they're basically the same. I'm just going to use this one next to the button, and you go and draw out your little field. And when you go into your properties here, always remember to give the fields a name. If you don't, then whatever they select in the first one, it's going to copy it to all the others. So you always want to make sure that the name of every form field is unique. When we go down to options here, we can go and say, all right, this is beginners, and the export value to go back is going to be maybe begin, and then this might be intermediate, and maybe this is INT, and maybe we've got advanced. And you can sort them. So if you want them to be in alphabetical order, you can do that. You can move them around if you need to. And I always tend to let the person know that they need to select from the options. So I'm going to always say select one, and I don't put an export value, and I just add that one, and I make sure that that is the one that is selected. The reason for this being, if I just go and make this 9, is if I go and preview, you can see it says select one, and as I go into my drop-down menu box, they can now go and choose whichever one is relevant for them. Right. The last section that I want to show you here is the ability, if they need to sign, you can add a digital signature field for them to sign. And under the properties, I always suggest that when you go under signed, you make sure that all the fields are marked as read only. That means they cannot go back and change those after they've signed the document. Right, so that's one. And if you do want to have a button, you've got an option here, the one that says OK, to actually go and put in a button that you want. And then under the properties, you can go and change the appearance. So I could say, oh, I want this button to be red. I want the text to be in white. If I go under options, I can choose whether it's a label only. So let's say we can call this a reset button. Or if I want to have a picture, then you're going to come here and choose icon or icon on top of your label or whatever it is you want to be able to do. And then under the actions, you're going to say, all right, what do I want this button to do? Do I want this button to submit a form? Do I want it to, I'm going to use in this case, reset my form, and I'm going to go and say add. And then it's going to reset all the form fields. And now when I go and preview it, so I might have added some text here, there, and everywhere. If I say reset, you can see now it is all clear to go. Right. Now, we've done our form. We could have done it first, reviewed it, brought it into Acrobat, put the form fields on, and now we want to send that document out to people that, or students or whatever it is, and these people might not have the full version of Acrobat. So we want them to be able to fill in this document even if they have the free reader. So this is where you're going to come down here and you're going to say distribute, because you're going to distribute this particular form. It's going to ask you to save it. So can you see it was my small form? I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to put there, maybe it's a form afterwards or whatever naming convention you want to use. And we're going to go and say save. And now it's going to ask you, how do you want to distribute this form to whoever needs to be able to get it? Does it need to go onto an internal server, network drive, or a SharePoint server? Am I going to do it via email? I'm just going to do it via email just to show you. You can send it using Acrobat, or you can actually just save it locally on your machine. But what I want to show you here is it's got this distributed extension on the back end. This is going to allow, when you bring the information back, you can then collect the responses. So to give you an example, I often have delegates that need to prove competency, and I normally give them like maybe a multiple choice test of something at the end. And then I have 70 people that need to get the results from one group of training or whatever it is. What I will go and do is I email the form to them. They fill out the check boxes or whatever it is, and then I go and I import all 70 people's answers into an Excel spreadsheet, and then I mark it directly on there. So that is just the way that I've done it, but everybody has got different methods to be able to do different things. Right, so I'm just going to save that. I'm going to just save it on the desktop, and I'm going to say next, and I'm going to say finished. So just to give you an understanding here. The other thing is, when I to my Acrobat tracker. So if I did send it from Acrobat and I put in all the form fields and everything, in here I can go and see, okay, who has responded and who has not responded, and I can then go and email the people and say, you know what, oh, you haven't responded to the invite or the whatever it is that the form relates to. You can do that here. Right, so what I want to do is I'm going to open that form field in Acrobat Reader, just to show you. Right, so I'm going to go to my Acrobat Reader here at the bottom. You can see here at the top, it's the free reader. I'm going to open it. Let's go to the desktop. And it was the one that is distributed. Right, so we're here, so I'm just going to fill in a few forms. Let's say, for example, this is going to be ABC or V, and whatever date I choose, let's say today's date, and whatever information needs to be put in there, right? And then I can choose to submit the form if I wish to do that. That's one way of doing it, and it could email it back to you. Okay, so that's one way. I'm going to say here, save as. And let's call this particular one tabo.pdf. Right, let's close that. Let's open that same form again. So I'm a different student now. or person, and let's go and say this is XYZ, and maybe the date was 2 days ago, and maybe I've got different information that I filled in here, and I'm just going to go File, Save As, and let's go and call that Bob. Right? So what's happening now is all these people are either submitting the forms, and if you've shared it via SharePoint, it will all be tracking it that way. But if I go back into Acrobat at any time, right, and I go and open the responses document. So if I show you here, when a form was created, it created a distributed version of that form, and it created a responses version of that particular form, right? And what I can go and do now is I can go and import all these elements into this particular document. I'm just looking for where it is in here. So I've gone to the edit menu. I've come down here to form options, all right? And I can come and import all the information into either this document, or I want to merge it into a spreadsheet. Right, so I can go and say add, and I can go and find Bob, and I can go and find Tabo, and I can open. So there are and if you've got 70 or 100 or 500, it makes no difference. You could just import them into this particular document. And when I go and say export, I'm going to put it on the desktop. It's creating a CSV file for me. And you can go and choose XML or CSV. And as I go and say save, I can now view this document. And I didn't want it to do it in numbers, sorry. I wanted to actually open it in Excel, because we're staying in the Excel environment. Let's go here to report. There we go. Right, so it's opened it up in Excel for me, and now you can go and see there is all the information, and every single cell name had a name for the form field. So that is a quick way for me to be able to go and consolidate all the information from the forms into a format that I can then go and use, and I can use my Excel skills and really run with that. Right, so we've done comment and review. We've done form fields. The last thing I want to show you inside here is just to go into some of the secure settings a little bit more. So let's use this one here. I'll just use this particular document. If I want to go and put security on my document. So first, let's take a step back. I want to see what security is on my document. I can go to the File menu. I go under Properties. Here it's going to tell me in the Security tab, there's a couple of tabs. So just look for the Security one. What security is currently on this document? So currently, I'm permitted to do everything. You can either choose to put your security settings on here, or you can come in here, and if you type security, or let's, yeah, do security, you can go and say, oh, I want to encrypt this document. You can see here using a password or whatever it is. So let's do password, and you can say, all right, what do I want to restrict the person from doing? Viewing the document or editing the document? If you go under advanced options, it's just going to prompt me to save it first. You can see there are a couple more options that are available to you. This is exactly the same as if I went via the File Properties menu. So I'm going to say, all right, I want to restrict from high resolution printing, maybe changes allowed, and this is where you can choose. Oh, I only want them to fill in a form. I only want them to comment on the document and fill in the form. I'm going to allow them to insert pages, or maybe they can do anything but extract pages. So you can go and choose what changes you want them allowed to do. Maybe I don't even want to allow them to copy and paste the text, and then you can put a password in there. Right, so you can put a nice strong password in there, choose the compatibility, and when you go and say OK, it's going to prompt you just to put that password in again. So just remember what you did the first time. And now, once I save this document, you will see that it is going to, if I close this now, it's now going to be a secure document here at the top. Right, so reviewing a document, creating form fields, and being able to add security is really simple. So we're going to jump back now to the last little bit, and this is signatures and approvals and those kind of things. All right. Just before I carry on, are there any questions in the chat pod from anybody that was placed in there? I can't see the chat pod, so if somebody can just let me know. Right.
No, Carla, this is Tim. It's all good. We're
okay.
Answering the questions.
Okay, no problem. All right. Then looking at the different signing options that are available within the document cloud, and this is Acrobat. So there are some that are in Acrobat itself. So let me just quickly jump here. So in Acrobat, you can fill and sign, you can add a digital signature, and you can use Adobe Sign. So, and then there is Adobe Sign on its own, which is outside of Acrobat. What I do want to bring to your attention is that the Adobe Sign within Acrobat is there are going to be some changes in the very near future, and I have been asked that if you can just reach out to your learning curve representative, and they will be able to explain whatever changes are happening and how it's going to affect you in the education sector. Right. Then some things I need to just explain to you, because I often get asked, what is the difference between an electronic signature versus a digital signature? So think of an electronic signature as an umbrella, and underneath that it is divided into two parts: an e-signature, and there are different ways that you can do that, but usually an electronic signature comes with an audit trail that comes with it. Whereas a digital signature think of a digital signature as a movie ticket or an aeroplane ticket. When you get that ticket and you get onto the plane, or the ground staff before you get on the plane, they normally review your ticket, they tear it off, and they give you one half and they keep the other half. That is checking or validating in digital signature terms that the signature applied to the document, which is the public version, and the part of the signature that is on the device that you have created, which is the private part, match. So think of that as that perforation, checking that the two match up together. And there are different ways that these signatures can be created, and I'll go into a little bit of detail, not too much in this presentation today. So the first type of signing is, think of it almost like a wet ink signature, but a digital version of that. So it's literally you either using a mouse or a stylus or your phone to be able to sign a document, right? This is what fill and sign is. Right? It can be done in Acrobat, and it can be done in the Acrobat Reader, the mobile version. Right? I'll go into a bit more detail around them in a moment, so just bear with me. The next one is what we call an electronic signature. So this verifies the identity of the person and what the process was that they took to sign, and it comes with an audit trail. All right, and there are different types of authentication methods. It could be email, it could be one-time PIN, it could be single sign-on. There are lots of different options that are available, which I'm not going to be able to discuss in today's session. And then the last, and that is Adobe Sign, whether it's standalone or whether it's within Acrobat. And then we have the digital signature part, which is bound by a public key or an encryption method on the particular document. And there are different levels of these, and I'm going to go into the different kinds in a moment. So they could either be self-signed, or they could be ones that you could get from a trusted service provider, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. And this is what a digital signature is. So both Acrobat and Adobe Sign support these, and you can even sign with Reader on with a digital signature. Right. So we're going to look at the first one. So this was the one that was right at the bottom, the standard or ink signature version. So this is fill and sign. All right. So I will demonstrate this to you in a moment. But when you go into here, you literally click on fill and sign. You get this menu that comes up. You don't even have to have interactive form fields, and you can go and add text, put check marks, circle, dots, and sign on the particular document. All right, so the method is you click on fill and sign, you choose the first option, which is fill and sign, you create your signature, and then the signature can be created in 3 ways. You either type your signature, you can draw your signature, or you can upload an image of your signature. All right. The disadvantage of using this method, all right, is it's not authenticated in any way. I could go and sign as Bob Jones or Jane Doe or whatever it is. It's the same as somebody just signing on a wet piece of paper with a wet signature, and there's no audit trail, and it is the least secure of all the options. That is very important to know. It's least secure. Right. If we look at digital signatures now, right, so this is more secure. I told you just now that there are a number of ways that you can do this. So the first one is self-signed. What self-signed means is you on your device go and create either a Windows certificate file, or if you're on a Mac, a keychain file, and you sign documents. They're valid for 5 years, and the authentication gets done between the part that you put on the document and the password you use to create. Then you get what we call an advanced digital signature. So these are files, signature files, and they can be in different formats that are provided to you, so you have to buy them and the 3 companies within South Africa are the Law Trust, the Trust Center, which is powered by the Post Office, or Trust Factory. So you go to them, they give you this signature file, and you use it to sign your documents. And then a qualified electronic signature is where you either have a thumb drive or a smart token or something that you have to connect to the device before you can sign. So that is even more secure than any of the other 2. So just know that there are different options that are available. Right. So if we go and look at the disadvantages of a digital signature, there's not necessarily an audit trail. And if you are in a workflow where you have to have 3 people sign, when the first person signs, that document or that signature is validated at that person's time. When the second signature is applied, then the first signature is not valid because it needs to, it's been changed. The document has been changed. And the reason why it's been changed is the second signature was applied. All right. It is usually a desktop solution, and not all, and this is within the Adobe environment, not all mobile readers allow you to put a digital signature on, and not all PDF readers support digital signatures. And the workflow would be something like this. You go into certificates. Once you're in certificates, you will have this menu at the top. You choose digitally sign. You go and create your digital signature, and you go and create the way that it looks. I'll show you briefly in a moment how that will work, right? Then we look at Adobe Sign within Acrobat, all right? So there have been some changes in May that there's a sign menu that you can do this, right? Adobe Sign allows you to sign documents either in your organization or outside of your organization. It is compatible on all devices. So whether you're on Mac or Windows or on a phone or on your desktop, it's available for each one of them. And people that are signing documents don't need to have a license. Only those that are sending documents for signature or approval. In the Acrobat version, the one that comes inside Acrobat, are limited to only 150, I'm going to call them packets, because it's not per document, that is available, and it cannot be topped up, and it cannot be pooled within your organization, and you're limited to the size of the document that you can send for signature and the amount of people that can sign that particular document. You're only limited to 10. Okay. So how this works, you can either go to, if your version of Acrobat has an Adobe Sign icon in the toolbar, you will click on that and it will go directly into the signing. If you doesn't have that, you might have to go through Fill and Sign and request others to sign. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about Adobe Sign outside of Acrobat. Okay, so just know that except for the first one, which was Fill and Sign, digital signatures and Adobe Sign signatures are compliant with the South African Electronic Communication Act, right? Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Okay, and this says you have to prove who signed the document, the intent that the document was signed, and prove that the document was signed, so a record of that particular thing. So even Adobe Sign supports this, right? I often get asked about security and compliance. So there is a URL here that Learning Curve can share with you afterwards, that the are compliant with multiple, what do you call them? Comply with multiple compliancy regulations, all right? So they are secured according to that, all right? Please note that there are various versions of Adobe Sign, right? The individual version comes with the Acrobat Professional. There are a lot of limitations in that, right? So the ones that you can, should your organization need this, is to look at the business option or the enterprise option, and Learning Curve will be able to discuss these in detail, because it determines, do you need integration into back-end systems like SharePoint or Teams or Microsoft Dynamics or any other back-end system that your university might have? Does it need to be automated? Do you want to, how many users or transactions or whatever it is? All of this counts into the version that you have. And with universities being such big organizations, the individual and the small business is just not going to give you what you need. Right. So I'm going to quickly go into the demonstration of the different signing options with you now, and let's just jump straight into that. So let's quit this. Right, so let's close this document here. Right, so I'm in Acrobat Professional. All right. If I go into the Tools menu and I look under Signatures and Forms, you can see in this particular version, I have Adobe Sign, I have Fill and Sign, and I have digital signatures, which are certificates. Right. Depending on the version that you've got installed, you might have the new Sign menu bar at the top, where you can choose them from there as well. So that is a new option. So let's go into the first one, Fill and Sign. Right? So we can select a file that we need to sign, and I'm going to just choose the very first form that we did that didn't have any form fields on it. Right, I'm going to choose Fill and Sign. Right, so remember, this is the least secure, but maybe for whatever it is that you need, this might be compatible for what you need. And this is also available on your phone in the mobile reader. Right, so as I said to you, you've got the different options here that you can choose. So you can see wherever you click, it will go and put in the form fields. Right, you can make your text bigger or smaller. You can comb it if you want to, all of those options. Date, you can also put the date in. It will remember some options if you've used them previously. Right, if you need to go and click some check boxes, you can do that. You can reduce the size. You've got ticks, you've got crosses. You can even do circles if you need to be able to do that. Depending on the options that you want to be able to use. There's some options that are available. When you want to sign, you can go and add either an initial or signature. You only need to do this once on your device, and then it will remember it if you choose to save it. Right, so we can go and say, all right, my name is Jane Doe, right? Or I want to go and draw my signature, and I could do the same thing there. Right, I can draw it, or I can go along and I can actually upload an image of my signature if that's what I want to do. I don't think I've got one here, but you can upload a picture of your signature. Right, so you can save what you want if you need to, and you can apply it. You can put it where it needs to be, and what will happen is when you save the document, that for a signature gets embedded into the document, right? You can then say next if you wish to share it with other people, or you can just say close and save your particular file. I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm just going to call this one Fill and Sign. Right, so that is the first one. Really quick, really easy. As you can see, there's no way to authenticate that I was the person that signed it, but it's great if you have to do, simple little things. Right, let's look at the next one. Right, so let's have a look at a digital signature. So again here, I've already got them saved on the side. So I'm going to go certificate. Here, digitally sign. So if there is no certificate or signature field, you can go and draw your own. You can also use a digital signature to certify that a document is authentic, and you can say whether that is going to be visible or invisible. So those are various options that you can go and choose there. I'm going to just digitally sign this. It's just telling me to move my mouse where I need to sign. So I'm just going to put it here, right? And whether you're in Reader, you're going to have to configure your ID the first time. So if I configure it, all right, so here are the options. So self-signed, the next one is going to be that advanced, where you got the file from the Law Trust or one of those, and then the one at the top is the qualified if you need to have a smart token. So there is where you're going to import the ones that you've purchased. We're going to just do a self-signed one right now. You can save it to your Windows Store, or you can just save it on your computer where you want to. I'm going to say my name is Jane Doe. You're going to put the university or whatever it is that you want. You can put your email address in. You can put your country that you live in. And then when you're encrypting a document, what is that encryption method going to be? Usually the highest. And what are we going to use the signature for? Is it going to be to encrypt information? Is it going to be a digital signature? I always choose both, right? You have to put a password in here. I'm just putting a simple one because I'm going to delete it when I'm finished here, right? Let's just give it a name. All right, so here is my signature. Now I want to decide what it's going to look like. All right, so when I say continue and I apply it, I can then go and create what my signature must look like. So do I want to draw my name? So yes, I can go and say it's Jane. And then I can have that, or I can import my logo or whatever it is, and I can go and call this one J-Doe. All right, save it. And you can have different ones for different things that you need. Here is where you're going to have to put in your password that you created. And now when I sign my document, let's just call this one digital.
We can't see what you are doing.
You can't see?
Yes, when you started giving examples of signatures, we can't see where your cursor is and where you are picking what and so forth.
Okay, I'll do it again from the digital signature. No problem. Thank you for letting me know. All right, can you see my cursor now, by the way? Okay, so to start this, let's just go back a step. All right, so under tools, I've chosen here, it says certificate. So under forms and signatures, it's the one on the end. So I'm choosing that. And then in the ribbon at the top here, I'm choosing digitally sign the document, right? And then the instructions are basically telling me to use my mouse to draw where I want to apply my signature. So I'm going to click anywhere on my document and draw out my signature field that I want to apply. Right. Then it's asking me to create a digital ID. So I'm going to create a new one. Let's go. I'm now choosing the bottom option, which says create a new digital ID. And I'm choosing a Windows certificate, or you can do one on your computer. So I'm choosing the bottom one that's highlighted in blue. And then you can put in your information. So I'm just going to, maybe it's Jane B. Doe, right? And your email address and your country. So again, I'm going to choose South Africa. And here at the bottom where it says use digital ID for, I'm going to say digital signatures and data encryption. So I'm going to say save. Right. So that means I've created a digital identity. So if you've got more than one, you can choose the one that you want to use. So I'm choosing this Jane B. Doe, and I'm going to say continue. And now, if I don't already have a signature created the way that I want to, above this, there's something that says create, and I can click on that. And I can now go and determine what my signature must look like. Do I want a name? Do I want a date? Perhaps I want a reason, so I can check the little reason button here that I have to give a reason why I'm signing. I can give this a name, so let's go and call it a test. And I can choose whether I want to draw. So right at the top there was a pen, and I can draw in my name. Right? Or I can upload an image, and here at the bottom it will say browse, or I could say none. So there are different options that you can choose. And then I'm going to click on save. So now it's going to save the various options that I have given myself. Right. Now I'm going to sign. I'm clicking on the blue sign the document. It's prompting me to save the document. I'm going to call this one digital signature. And you can see here at the bottom of my document that it's got my signature that I've just created in there. And it also says here that the signature is valid. It means that it's recognizing me. And if I open up, so if I go in the blue ribbon and I open up the signature panel, I can actually see the information on this document, and I can actually click to view the version at the time that the document was signed. So these are all the different options that are available within Acrobat. The last one that I'm going to show you in Acrobat is if I go to my Tools menu and I choose Adobe Sign, you'll see there are three options. There is Signer, so you've got fill and specify where they need to sign, and you can track the document. I'm going to leave it here for a moment because I'm going to show you in the live view of the full Adobe Sign, and that will make a bit more detail. So think of this as a mini-me version of the version I'm going to be showing you. Right. So please know you need to have a separate license of Adobe Sign to be able to have the full functionality that I'm showing you today. Now, the reason for this is there are a lot of options that are available. So one of the options could be that you could set up a web-based form. Let me just reload the session, sorry. Took a while because I was chatting for such a long time. So in this example, the person will be able to just go onto your intranet or your internet site and have access to the particular form that they need to complete. They can even submit attachments. So if it's for candidates that need to register for next year, it could be a registration form, and they can attach their grade 11 marks or whatever it is. Or if it's, in this case, it's a payment approval, they can upload the invoice. So you can have pre-built web forms that are available for you. So let me just quickly log in here a moment. Just hold on a second, I'm just logging in because it had logged me out. Okay. All right, so in Adobe Sign, let's just minimize this and open this. All right, you can customize what the interface is going to look like. You can have templates, so you could have pre-built templates that are available that people need to sign. So this could be people within just your department or just your faculty or just your university, depending on what they are. You could have pre-built workflows. So let's say, for example, it's a student acceptance. So the student can fill in the web form and then it needs to go to person A to be able to approve or sign, and then straight from there go to the next department and the next department. So you can have these pre-built workflows if you don't have them already. So those are some of the options that are available to you. You also have the ability to get multiple people to sign at once. So you can do them in batches of 500, and you can send out one document and people can sign them individually, and then they can come back to the originator. So the originator would get 500 responses back. So these are some of the options that are not available in the other version. But just, I'm going to quickly show you a sender's experience of sending a document, and then I'm going to show you the signer's experience. And remember, the signer does not need to have a license, right? So there are different options. These can all be set up on the back end, signers, approvers, acceptors, there's a whole lot. So let's go and do, I'll add me as an example, and then just put a second person here. Right, so we've got some email options that are available, and maybe this person is an approver. So you can see you've got a signer, an approver. You've got different authentication methods that you can choose from. I'm going to just do email as an example, and you can even have private messages. So you can say refer to XYZ, depending on what it is. You've got the message that you want to send in there. You can password protect the document. You can give it a deadline. Okay, it has to be 5 days in which you have to do it. And you can set reminders. So there are a couple of options that are available. And this format supports both electronic, and if you still need a wet signature, they can wet sign and then upload it again. But most people go for the electronic version. Then here under Add files, under the Files section, think of this as a packet, like those internal envelopes. You can either put one document in there, or you could put 5 documents, or whatever the number of documents you want inside there. So let's go and choose a particular document to go and add into here. Let's just use that same booking form. Let's just use a different, I'm just going to use an agreement in here. So note that you can add Word documents, you can add PDFs, you can add an image, you can add an Excel file. So these documents could be various document sizes, types. Then you click on Next, and this will actually take those documents and convert them to a locked format so that the person cannot interact with the document at all, except for the form fields that you have given them, right? So while I'm just waiting for this to load, a moment, it's loading. The templates, you can have layer templates. So for example, if it's authorization for approval of funds or invoices or expenses or whatever, they can be added to a particular document, right? Then these documents were pre-tagged. So if you do this in Word, Sign will automatically accept them, and you'll see that they are color-coded. That means that person A signs where they're pink and person B signs where they are this olive green color. So you don't accidentally have people signing where they shouldn't sign. It supports digital signatures, so if you do want to use digital certificates, that is still an option that is available. You've got a whole lot of things. You can do form fields in here as well, input boxes. I'm just clicking on the right-hand side of the screen here. You can have name. There are a whole lot of options that are available. Right, you can have put attachments there. Maybe let's do this one here and swap it to the third person. Okay, so you can see you can have attachments. There are a couple of options. One is ready and all your fields line up and everything, you can then send this document out for signature. Now, because I had chosen myself as see you do have the ability to go and attach documents depending on what they are. And now I can submit this document for the second person to be able to approve. You will be given notifications. Has that person opened the document? Have they signed it? You can even go and see where the document is being held up in the signing process, right? So if you come under, I'm under the Manage tab here at the top, and I go to the In Process documents. This is the one that I've just sent out now. If I click on that, you can see that it's currently out for approval. I can see that what it relates to. I can see that the first person has signed. If I click on the second person, again, depending on how the account is set up, you can, if somebody's off sick, you can replace that person that needs to sign. If nobody has signed yet and the wrong version of a document has gone out, you can replace the version of the document. So you've got all these options that are available. But more importantly, I can see the activity on this document at any particular point in time. So if I come and have a look at my inbox here, let's just quickly show you the inbox. Give me a moment. Right. So in my inbox, you can see that there was an email that was sent to this person. And as they open it up, you can see it can all be branded, and it will tell them what they need to be able to do. So I need to review and approve, and they could then, so that the person that does this does not need an account. They would click on this link and it would be exactly the same as the process I previously showed you. So if I go back here, you can see, if I go back into the settings, you can see what has been cancelled, what has been expired. You've got full access of everything that's happening. If I click on this one again, you can see under the activity that this person has viewed the document, right? Once the entire document is signed, then what happens is it will come into the completed list. This does not have to sit in Adobe Sign. All right, so if you've got integrations, this can go straight into your backend repository, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, or whatever it is. There are various integrations, but what I want to show you is that there is an audit report. So I'm in the right-hand panel here. I'm clicking on audit report. The audit report is downloaded. I'm just waiting for it to open now. And this is that audit report. So the audit report will show you exactly who signed the document, what their IP address was, the date, the time, when they viewed it, when they signed it, that it was signed by all parties, that people agreed to sign this document electronically. So you can see you have a lot more information on the signer and the signing process and everything. So that is within Adobe Sign. So basically, you've got a lot more functionality with what it is that you're doing. Right. Now, because everybody's use case will be different, and everybody's scenarios and who needs to sign and how they need to sign, I have not been able to cover all the various options that are available in this session. So I am requesting that you reach out to Learning Curve and the Learning Curve representative that invited you to the session, and ask them for either a customized demonstration for your use case, or if you're interested in having more training on either Acrobat or Adobe Sign, just reach out to them and they will be able to make the necessary arrangements that are need to be done. Right. And from my side, I'd like to say thank you very much. I do know that it was a long session, but I'm going to hand back over to Tim and the Learning Curve team now in case they have anything else to say. But from my side, thank you.
Carla, that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, we did run over a bit. I'm sorry, guys. We did say an hour, but there was like just an enormous amount of information we wanted to show you. But as Carla said, we can actually set up individual sessions for your individual universities. We're very happy to answer any questions that you have if you can pop us a mail so we don't keep you any longer. This session has been recorded. I want to apologise to the people that are in the YouTube session because apparently, because of the numbers, some of the visuals weren't as good as they should be. But I'm assured that the recording will overcome that and it will be clear for everybody. Yeah. So again, Carla, thank you very much. Thank you to all of you for actually attending. Just so, as I say, we don't hold this up any longer. I really would appreciate it if you could come back to us and tell us what you felt about this. There is a questionnaire going to be sent out to you all just to ask if there's anything specific that we can help you with. I really hope this session was informative and helpful to you and just enabled us to show you just how powerful Acrobat and Adobe side really is. And yeah, we look forward to talking to you on an individual basis. So again, thank you very, very much. I'd like to bring this meeting to a close now. Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.